on the computer. Awesome. So if you haven't noticed, last week we had Linda and Amy leading our book club, and we're really encouraging our leaders to step up and lead chapters because that's what we see. That's where we see people are at. And so you get the Janelle team today. Janelle and I are going to go through again. If you don't know, this is the book that we're on. And the beauty of this book, I think, is that even if you don't have the book, you're still going to gain something from this conversation. We always say with book club, there's kind of like a good, better, best situation. Good is you just come. You come and you're here and you listen or you catch the replay, and that's great. Better would be you have the book and you do the reading. Preparation before book club. Best case scenario would be you have the book, you do the reading, and you answer the questions, you do some journaling. And so just wherever it serves you in your journey to be here, never think that you're just not equipped enough to come to book club. We always want to see you. We always want to see you. So we're going to kick that off with chapter 9 this morning. Who are you really? Janelle, do you want to unmute? And then we're diving right in. And I'm actually going to let you kind of take it away here. God bless you. I'm going to let you take it away because when I was reading this chapter, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so perfect. Like it's so like ordained that this would be the chapter that we're starting on, the chapter that you're going to get to lead with me. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Point to ponder. Authenticity is a hallmark of resilience.
So I really loved this chapter. And like Janelle and I were talking a couple minutes ago, I really feel like it kind of encompasses my passions personally and what I do in my job. And for those who don't know, my job, I work at a little local store and I sell bridal gowns, but I also do custom fittings for compression garments, for bras and breast forms for women who have undergone surgeries, and I do wig fittings. So my whole goal is to help people feel like them, help people feel good, no matter what stage of life they're in. And so I was looking at some of the stuff in this little chapter, and I really liked when she talked about energy drainers. And it made me think kind of the Energy Bus, the book that we've done before. And some of them are keeping up appearances, attempting to be perfect, people pleasing, and trying to make yourself fit into situations that are simply not you. I don't know about any of you guys, but at one point in time or another, I have fit into any and all of those categories. I don't know if any of you guys wanted to share anything about ones that you were in. Yeah. The main one.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think we can definitely all relate to that, right? Like, and some roles we just jump into and then we just realize that this is part of us and this becomes part of who we are, right? It's doing the things scared. We talk about that. But then sometimes we step into things where we're like, okay, hang on a second. This is not me.
And then I like how she breaks those down and talks about things to help you maximize and to get over those energy drainers. Like, say what you need to say. Don't beat around the bush. Just kind of, if you need to say something, say it. Don't worry about if you're embarrassed to tell the truth about something. Now, granted, use a little grace in it.
Some tact.
But little tact. But don't waste precious energy pretending that all is well when it isn't.
I actually had that moment last
night. And then I was
going to say, I had that moment last night. and I'll give you an interesting example. For those who maybe don't know, we have a new daughter that joined our family. So now I have three 14-year-olds, because that sounds like a great idea. Anybody want three 14-year-old girls? Yeah. Okay. Good talk. So she came to live with us in December, and she's part of our family. And last night we had some rules that needed to be refreshed. And I was sitting in my bed thinking and catastrophizing all the ways that I could say something wrong before I actually had to talk. It wasn't a big deal. It was just like any other kid in my house. If they were to have a shower at 11:15, I'd be like, are you freaking kidding me? It's 11:15. You should be in bed. I'm like, well, if that rule is the rule for everyone else, it's the rule here too. And we need to refresh it. And there's no point in me spiraling and overthinking. We just need to say it, because it only gets bigger the longer that I don't talk about it. So I opened my mouth, I said it, I stumbled over my words, and it was fine. And she's wonderful. She's so, so wonderful, and so willing to adjust and kind of course correct. And so I was like, well, what the heck was I worried about? Like, why didn't I? Yeah. Have you ever been in that situation? Anybody have an example where you do finally get up the nerve to say something that you've been beating around the bush about, or like catastrophizing in your own mind, and then you say it and you're like, why? What was all the drama about in my brain? Like, why? Anybody? Moms of teens? Anybody? Or did it go the total wrong way? Kate's gonna give us an example.
I've done a lot of support groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of became known as the one who would say the unthinkable. And I would say things that had happened or things that I felt that were deeply, deeply shaming. And there would be like a stunned silence. And then somebody would say, my God, I didn't think anybody else ever felt that way. And at least half the room would be like, I could never have admitted that. Thank you for sharing that. So we're all more alike than we think we are. And I've learned to share it.
That is so true, Kay. You made a very good point. And honestly, I feel like that is one of the main goals of the enemy, try to make us feel like we're isolated. It's only us. Any other thoughts?
I've had it happen many times actually, where someone will come to me and they're like all worked up about something, and they're like, I just wanted to ask you, I just wanted to put this boundary in place. Is that okay? I'm like, really fine. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, great. And they're like, okay. They were like braced for a fight, but I was like, you're asking for a boundary to be respected, and that's great. Like, good for you. But they had like worked it up so much in their head that it was going to be a really big issue, and I was like, no, it's like, well, thanks for letting me know. I don't personally remember doing that, but I do know that there's been times when I definitely worked myself up about something. I just can't think of anything particular at the moment, but I have had happen where I was like, oh,
I think it's a human condition where we do it. I really do. I think we do that so easily. So number 2 moves on to wear what makes you feel your best. And I love this. Again, I'm going to use Janelle as an example, because she did a post this week. I don't know if you guys saw it. And she was talking about building an outfit. And so Janelle uses compression garments for her lymphedema. And I love what she wears because they're so cool. And I'm like, if I could have socks like that, that's amazing. They're tie-dyed and fun and whatever. And it's totally her. Like, it's, and it says, wear what makes you feel like you. And she does that in a place. And I'm sure, but I mean, I've never come and seen you at work, but I'm sure you encourage people to do the same thing. Like, the compression garment does not need to be boring. If you are a fun individual and you like to express yourself through your clothes, then you can have, like, it can be fun.
that's the main reason why I started wearing the colorful ones, was because here in my job, and I went through a stage too with my lymphedema, where I wanted to hide it. I wanted to make it not noticeable. Well, spoiler alert, my calf is twice the size of my good leg, and my Achilles is shortened because of it, so I walk with a limp. Spoiler alert, it's noticeable. So then it's like, you know what? I might as well have fun with it.
And it's part of who
And
you are.
it is. And when I wear it and I get somebody in for their first compression stocking fitting, and they're like, oh, is it hot? Can I hide it? Do I have to wear pants all the time? I'm like, no. Like, as soon as the snow is gone, I'm in a skirt all the time. I just find it comfortable. And like today, I'm wearing my fuchsia pink tie-dye stocking with a beige skirt and a deep pink top. And I have a compression fitting later on today. I'm really hoping that I can encourage them. Just, you know what? We have to wear them. It's for our health. Might as well have fun with it.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think the other key point to this chapter that I just want to touch on before we move on is giving yourself permission to be imperfect. Perfection is not the goal, because it's not a destination where we can get to. So why? Like, yes, we can be better, but choose to be vulnerable, choose to be transparent, and imperfection goes along with that, right? Gone are the days, thank goodness, gone are the days when people actually want to see that totally curated Instagram feed. People are searching for authenticity in a world that isn't giving it to them. And so that's the best news ever for us, because we don't have to try to reach some sort of unattainable level. We get to be imperfectly us, right? I love that. And we're going to talk more about imperfection and those things. She has a really great story in another chapter about her imperfection and transparency. So let's move on to chapter 10. What lesson is life offering you right now? And I thought this was cute. In the book of life, the answers aren't in the back. I would say that if you're looking for the answers in the back of the book, Revelation is terribly confusing. So there are some things in there, but terribly confusing. But this is actually something that this book has encouraged me to do, is writing down my thoughts, ideas, lessons learned can boost your feelings of contentment. I love to journal. Does anybody journal like regularly here? Love to see. Does anybody wish they did? Is that something? Okay, there we go. So we maybe need to start trying to hold each other accountable or something like that, because I'm a verbal processor, but I realized this week. I'm a verbal processor, but guess what? It still works when I write it, because I talk it in my brain and I can write it down. So I think that that's a brilliant thing to be adding in. Diana says she journals every night. That's amazing. So that's a really great question. Is there anything that you guys want to share that life is trying to teach you? Like what lesson are you learning right now? Are you in a season of learning patience? Are you in a season of growth? Are you like, where are you at? I'd love to hear, either in the chat or unmute.
Well, I'll go. I'm definitely in a season of growth, and finding it quite difficult to kind of get through. But I know that the Lord is with me and I will get there. And every night as I journal, it becomes more and more clear for me.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Diana.
I I am in a little bit of a crazy season at the moment, all over the place. But learning how to, I'm sure you've dealt with this. Many of you have dealt with this when you, I feel like I've gone through many different seasons of growth in my life. And when you live in close proximity with someone who does not pursue growth on a regular basis, that is also another opportunity for growth for yourself. In having humility and remembering, compared to the Lord, I have learned nothing. Right? If this is a comparison, I'm like, Lord, how do you have patience with us? I have a hard time having patience with people I live in close proximity with who do not have a lot of growth going on. And it shows, and it's hard. And then they're upset at you because they think that you think you're more high and mighty. And I'm like, I don't think I'm more high and mighty. I don't have the same issue, and that's okay. Anyways, just learning how to have patience. I'm like, I talk with the Lord about it all the time. I'm like, man, you have a lot of patience with us. I'm gonna need some of that patience because we probably look like we're crazy people down here making tons of terrible decisions, and I get to have a piece of that I live with sometimes, and that's hard. But it's good growth to learn how to have grace for people who don't have grace for you.
Mm.
And wow. That's a whole nother level of oh okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay, Chelsea, because the next part says nothing's permanent. Oh dear. Except laundry. Laundry is permanent. So is trying to figure out what to have for dinner. I love number 2. You're either living on purpose or living by accident. How many of us find ourselves living by accident often? Yeah.
I really liked number 3. Fear does not necessarily mean stop.
Right. Yeah.
Because my normal reaction is the fear sits in as like, oh, warning, danger, do not pass, do not go.
Yeah.
And so it was a different take on that.
Yeah. Because our brains do that whole protect you thing, right? Where it's like, oh, we're afraid we might die. It's time to protect you. Right. And she says, keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is a whole other growth piece, because if you're totally used to like digging in your heels and stopping, to teach yourself to trust yourself that moving forward is okay when we feel fear. Yeah, I love that too.
I was just going to say, I think that's a big part of our business.
Yes.
Is helping people to, because, we've all been there. We've all been through this process. We start telling somebody about Plexus. We start sharing about how it's going to help them, maybe even the business part, right? And there becomes that point where you see the brakes go on and you're like, why the brakes go on? And again, you know, what's going through their mind? Like, you know, is this a scam? You know, is this lady real? Is this what she's telling us is true? You know, whatever, right? And so, but you can see how people miss out on opportunities in life for some really great things to happen because they've allowed fear, right? I mean, the Israelites, they missed out on the promised land 40 years too late. Some of them didn't even get there because they allowed fear to grip them. They weren't supposed to, right? Like, I mean, it just makes you sometimes you just go, ah, if somebody writes my story out, they're gonna just cry. Like, look at Jimmy Lou could have done that. Oh, no, she's too afraid. Oh, look at Jimmy Lou could have done that. Oh, yeah. Looked over the hill and saw the big grapes, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that we allow fear to grip us, right? And then we don't know what to do. We don't know how to take that step to be like, it's okay. It's not going to hurt me to sign up for $13.
Yeah.
You can send them back.
Or it's like the analysis paralysis, right? Where we're afraid and we're like, okay, so I've got to think of every possible outcome to this before I can move forward, because what if I don't know what to do? Okay, what if we don't know what to do? It's not like we're not going to figure it out. Right? So I think the other piece to this chapter that really, really sparked thought for me was the end of number 4, when she's saying, focus on impressing God by living the purpose for which he created you, serving and blessing others in the way only you can. And so my question is, what is that space that you have been tasked with? What is that purpose that is niche oriented? So as in, like, only Sharon can do this. There's so many things that only Sharon can do. My word. Only Sharon can do this. Only Janelle can do this. Only Chelsea can do this. This is the God-given purpose on your life. What is it? And if you don't know what that is, I'd encourage you to highlight, underline, and circle, and then write it down somewhere and really think about it. What is that purpose for you? While everyone is avoiding eye contact, I will say that one of the things, we had a missions conference a couple weeks ago, and we had Janelle can't get rid of me. We're in a small group together. She service directs my worship teams. Her husband is on like both the worship teams I'm on, and then she's my level 1. It's great. But we got a chance to hear from this lady who was an international worker, and she's talking about missions. She's written a book and whatever. And I actually kind of did one of those step back things where I was like, hey, am I missing a calling on my life? Am I missing something? Is like, am I just thinking that missions work is not for me? Like, have I just not considered that maybe God wants to send me somewhere? Maybe it's just to North Central Regina. Maybe it's somewhere else. Like, does God want to send me somewhere? And you know what? That was answered very quickly in my spirit. It was a no, that is not your purpose. Your purpose is not to go out. Your purpose is to stand behind that keyboard on the Sunday mornings and to lead the people in the building. That is your function. You are to connect me with my people through music. And then those people hear my calling and they go out. And I was like, wow, okay, well, glad we had that little talk, just a little check-in. So that's part of my purpose, using my giftings. But I think it was really good to kind of assess that. Does anybody have one that they want to share?
I'll share mine. My purpose here is my mission field, I like to call it, is my store.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so many women undergoing cancer treatments and other serious medical issues. And my purpose is to give them a snippet of God's love during my interaction with them here.
I love that. I totally agree with that. When I found out that that's where you were
That's
working.
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Go ahead, Jimmy. Did you have something you wanted to share too?
I do. I'm actually putting on my makeup right now. So talk about being authentic. So if you see it all blotchy, you know what? I think one of the things that, going through what I've gone through in this last year, I've really honed in on what my purpose is. And, you know, should be everybody's purpose. I think that we can all say this is wherever we go, whatever we do, how are we going to make somebody today feel loved, feel seen, you know what I said, feel loved, feel seen, feel heard. And I think for myself that I've really tried to, slow down my brain a bit, close my lips, and just be in a presence of someone else to let them share their life and where they're at. And I have to tell you guys this quick story because it's kind of one of these Jimmy Lou isms that sometimes she just does these things. I was in the city last week and went to go through McDonald's to get a coffee. And I don't know about your McDonald's, but do you guys find that you have a lot of people around the McDonald's that usually have a sign saying, hey, I haven't worked, I have no food, that kind of thing. So I picked up a coffee and I like the tortillas with the whatever, eggs and whatever. Anyways, I don't know what they're called, breakfast burritos. And so I picked that up. And then this gal was standing at the end. I was like, what did this cost me? $6? Yeah, like whatever. Like, so I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever. I'm just going to hand it off to her. So you know what? I pulled up and I had a track too. I always keep tracks in my car. And I always, if I'm chatting with people, I maybe, give them a track and tell them where they can get a meal kind of thing. So yeah, I gave her my McDonald's and gave her a big smile. And I just said, hey, this is where you can go get a meal. And here, I want to give this to you. Jesus really, really loves you. And she's like, thanks. And she was gone. So she got her food. Like she wasn't there for any other reason. And that just broke my heart because a lot of people be, oh yeah, she just wants money. Or, well, no, like she's standing there. She took my food and then she walked off. I'm sure she's not going to throw it in the garbage can. She's probably going to have that coffee and enjoy it at least, right? Whatever, big deal. Oh, again, $6. Oh my. Then I go around the corner to go back through to get another meal for myself. And this guy is standing there and he doesn't have a sign, but he's standing there. And so, I drove up and I said, hey, are you hungry? Have you had breakfast? He's like, well, I'm actually looking for money so I can go downtown because I need to see my social worker. And I said, well, I really, which was truthful. I actually don't even have like $1 on me. I have my debit, but if you didn't have breakfast, I'll get you breakfast. So got him breakfast. And then, we went inside, had a good conversation. He told me what was going on in his life and his brother had diabetes and he went to go see him. And really just this guy that just a bad streak of life, right? Just right. And I told him about Teen Challenge. We exchanged phone numbers. Yes. I go way out like here, I want, where can I, I just, yeah, sure. Like, so I can send you information and blah, blah, blah. Right. And it was good. Like I gave him some information. He was going to go talk to his social worker and it was all good. And you know what, like whatever. So that took me 20 minutes of my time. And maybe I just was there to listen to someone, to make them feel heard, that for one time that somebody saw them as just a person in need, right? Not some guy on the street, right? And so I was just like, you know what, God, like, if this is all I can do every day, I'm happy to do this. Like, who else needs McDonald's? I'd rather hand out other things, but it was all okay. So, and I'm not telling you guys to be like, oh, Jimmy Luke hands out McDonald's to people, but you know, big spender. But just like, what is, when I wake up in the morning, what's my purpose? That's what I want to do. I want people to know Jesus loves them so much, right? Anyways, that's enough of my time.
I feel like we're done now. We're all gonna go drive to our nearest McDonald's, and Jimmy, that's amazing. That is amazing and challenging and phenomenal. And it leads perfectly into number 5, that the power to change your life is in the choices you make. And I would say that Jimmy just demonstrated for us that the power to change someone else's life are also in the choices that we make. She could have thought, I'm too busy. I need to get to the next place, you know? Chelsea, did you have something that you wanted to share too?
Yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
Hi. So my purpose, overarching purpose, because I feel like in different seasons we have different specific missions that the Lord puts us on. But in all of the different seasons of my life, my purpose is to prepare people's hearts for the second coming of Jesus, whether it's prophetic song, through evangelism, through like children's ministry, whether that's ministry to my own kids, because I'm determined. I'm raising revivalists. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of revivalists, as you can hear. Definitely.
They need to be feisty.
Anyways, that's about it.
Yep. We're there. We're with you. We'd encourage you to give this a little bit more thought if you guys haven't yet. It's a meaty chapter. The whole book. Like, hello, are we enjoying this book? By the way, if you didn't get my message, if you have an Audible subscription, a bunch of her books are free on Audible right now. I think 2 or 3 or something like that. And she's going to be one of our speakers at convention. So, all right, 11. Oh my gosh, if this was not written for me, I don't know what was. Is it time to stop trying to figure it out? Is anyone an overthinker? Every time that meme comes up, it's like, hang on, let me overthink about this. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. Where are we going with this chapter, Janelle?
I just want to say, I love the scripture that she puts in this chapter. And it just kind of hits me and goes, oof, okay. Yeah, I need to kind of think and ponder. Like, right at off the top, she goes, James 1:5, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So it's like, okay, I don't need to figure this out on my own. Those moments where I'm like, okay, no, I got to do this, because I like to pride myself on being a very independent person. It's like, I can do this. I can figure it out. I've had people say, oh no, like, especially physically, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. And so then my pride comes in and it's like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to prove you wrong. And I don't know if any of you guys are like that, but that's kind of my default that I'm working on. But I like when she's in here. Perseverance is the key to your success when you set out to live a purposeful life. However, There are some things in life that we can waste our energy trying to figure out. It is in those situations we must be willing to let go, pray for wisdom, and trust God. How many of you guys have an issue like me, or maybe I'm the only one, letting go? I like to say, yeah, I trust God. I trust God. But it's almost like my brain is going, God, I need to help you. I need to help you do this. And he does not need my help. And he's like, oh yeah, they're there, Janelle. They're there. Well, eventually you'll learn that lesson, kind of like what she was talking in the previous chapter.
Yeah. And she reminds us, Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Stop leaning on your own understanding. Stop now. And I think we can go back to that purpose piece, right? Like if God has given you this purpose, if God has given you a purpose, okay, sorry. God has given all of us a purpose. Whether we have chosen to embrace it or not is our deal. But he does not tell us that we have to have it figured out before we actually start walking it out. We just need to trust him and not let fear cripple us, like in the previous chapter, and start walking forward and ask God for wisdom, and he will give it. And I love that piece in James 1:5 when it says, without finding fault. Like, how many of us can find fault with ourselves? And that's why we don't move forward, or that's why we don't walk in our purpose. That's why we totally do the analysis paralysis and we stop, right? But if God is telling us, like it says, if you lack wisdom, ask, and he's going to give it to you without finding fault with you. So why do we find fault with ourselves as a reason to why we can't move forward in our purpose?
I just have a quick story. Friends of ours, they foster, and that's their story is like, she said, you know, there's so many things that were not really going right in their life, but they felt this call was on their life, and it has changed so much. It's helped them to look at other areas of their life, and it's urged them forward to grow in other areas because of the decision that they made to foster, right? And again, that's kind of like faith in action. They're like, okay, God, like you want us to do this. Doesn't we're kind of like the people that maybe shouldn't be doing this, but we feel called to do this, right? So, you know, I think that's sometimes we think we have to be perfect in some way before we can make that next step. And it's like, no, like just pick up the Bible. Imperfect people that God uses every single day.
I totally resonate with that, because I remember when we were thinking about bringing in our newest daughter and thinking, I don't really know that I am the one that should be raising someone else's kid. Like, I mean, we haven't broken the 4 we have yet, but there's still time. Like, I run a full-time business. I'm very busy. Like that, we just bought a new house and we don't have enough bedrooms for everybody. Like all of the reasons why, right? But when God lays something on your heart to do, he's going to provide all of the things.
I think a big piece of figuring out the purpose for your life too is like when she talks about slowing down, taking a breath. Because I don't know about you, but like my last week was crazy busy, and I just felt like I was go, 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 go. And it just seems like that's the world. And so it's kind of hard to hear what God has for you if you're just go, 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 go. You're going to keep learning those lessons over and over and over again until you stop, take a breath, and listen.
Yeah. sometimes we're afraid to be quiet with our own thoughts, right? And so keeping noise going or keeping busy or whatever, but if we're never listening, then we can never hear, right? I am so guilty of being like the output, right? Like God hears all my requests, and then, okay, I don't have time to stop and listen for what you have to say to me. I have to go and do something else. So even spending time after this call this morning, I'd encourage you guys to spend a couple minutes, because it's so easy to get off the call and just go back to, making breakfast or switching the laundry over or running to the next thing. Letting things marinate a little bit is a really, really good idea. Identify what you need to stop trying to figure out, let it go, pray and listen for wisdom about how to proceed from here. And a question that she leaves us with is, in what current life situations do you need to let go of control and trust God more? I feel like my list is longer than my page will allow, but I'm going to choose to write those things down and not stand in fear, identify them, pray for wisdom, and move forward with it. Okay, the truth about bouncing back. I know, my God, that you test the heart and are pleased with integrity. 1 Chronicles 29:17. Resilience requires authenticity. We're just really in the authentic space today, aren't we? I loved her story about this, about how she totally lost her train of thought, and she had to say in front of a whole bunch of people, I can't remember what I was saying. And of course, I look at that and I go, well, of course they wanted to help you. It's a room full of women. We want to help. We want to be the helpers. Somebody wants to be able to tell you the answer. I love that. Admit your challenge, mistake, or bump in the road. Reach out for help to get back on track. Does anyone have anything that came to mind with this? How many of us have done a video or tried to do a story and we've stopped and we're like, nope, I have to do that again. Nope, I tripped over my words. Nope, I need to do it again. No, that wasn't good enough. No, can't post that. Okay, I will be transparent. Man, y'all aren't talking, so you're putting me on the hot seat. I did a live this week where I shared one of my songs. I went back and looked. I'm like, that is the worst angle on the face of the planet, and I will not have that sitting on my feed. And I actually deleted it because the camera angle was so bad. So bad.
Are you talking about the one
I loved it.
that you were singing in the background?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I was like, Janelle has really long legs. I thought you looked.
Oh, not that one. That one I didn't delete. That was just a story. But yeah, well, thank you. My legs are long. You let the dog out. He's asking to leave. Nope, not in there.
Keys?
Not in there. I have no idea. Probably in my purse. People are talking.
Where's your purse?
I don't know. Okay, sorry. Amy's waving. Does she have something to say? Oh, she's just saying hi to Nolan. Oh, maybe Amy knew where my keys were. But I deleted, it was an Instagram live. I don't remember the last time I did an Instagram live. And I was trying to find the right angle because I couldn't put it on my piano. And then I looked back and I was like, I'm going to delete that. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it. It's fine. And I'm like, I don't like what that looks like on my feed. I was warring with myself, and then I pressed the button and it's gone. So yes, even I have problems with transparency and authenticity. Sometimes it's just too authentic.
My fear and doing that has kept me until this last week from even doing lives. I was terrified. I'm like, I'm going to stumble over my words. And the first one I was like, well, Then I wrote it out, so then it looks like I'm reading it off the page, and I'm like, oh, well, you know what? So be it. And I posted it anyways. It was like, okay, there it is. I'm trying to challenge myself to do at least one a week, even though it terrifies me. And it's like, okay, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And everyone else has struggled with them too. So it's like, I'm not alone in that.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm so proud of you for doing it. I think the part where I struggle with transparency the most is, so this week there was a police death in Ontario. And I actually got a little fired up and I ranted a little bit on stories, which I don't like to do because I really do like to keep my social media a really positive place, because that was my calling. I felt like God was calling me to be a light on social media. And so I struggle with when reality does not jive with that calling of being a light, right? Like, how can I be a light and still sit in reality when reality is super dark? So I said what I felt like I needed to say, and then I posted a couple other stories, and then for the rest of the day I was like, ugh. Transparency right now just feels like, if I'm transparent, I'm nauseous today. And so this is all I have to give. And I think that's the piece, right? Like, if you've given what you have to give, and I did show up and I was transparent, and then I just chose that the rest of the transparency was probably not going to be beneficial for the rest of the world. So I kept my transparency to myself, which is also a gift. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I just in a crummy mood? Does the rest of the world need to know? Trisha, do you have something to share? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you move closer to your device? I don't know. I can't hear you. Take out your earbuds maybe and just talk to us.
A little switcheroo here.
That's better.
Okay, and I gotta turn up your volume. I think that now I probably lost my train of thought, but
You're good.
being a light on social media, that's kind of, when you said that, I'm like, that's totally me. I just want to be a light for people to, see good in the world and possibly see God. And one of the things that sometimes you think about is like, is anybody watching? Is anybody getting this? Am I making a difference? And just in a few conversations in the last few weeks, I've had people are like, thank you for what you share on social media. I just love reading your posts. And I'm like, okay, so people are watching and getting something out of it. So that was affirming. And I think for me, what I have tried to say to myself is, if I can actually impact just one person with this post, I've done my job, right? We're not trying to reach millions. We're not trying to please everyone. But if there is just one person who relates, who makes a positive change, who can see good in the day, then I've met my purpose of being a light on social media. And for me, definitely the teaching side of things comes out. I'm a teacher, so I love just to give information or facts or, that sort of thing. So I feel like that comes out in my posting. But I also wanted to say to Janelle, I loved her authenticity on her first post where she said, I'm just trying to do this and figuring out how to do it, and I just want to get better. So I'm just going to start here and go with it. And I thought that was fabulous. That authenticity. I was just like, you go, girl. That was fabulous. Those are my thoughts.
I agree.
Thank you, Trisha.
Can I give you guys one tip that I learned this week from Brock?
Yes.
He was talking about doing lives and just the words not to use. It's actually, what's not the right word? I don't think taboo is the right word, but to say, hey, all, or hey, everybody, you actually, Trisha, what you said, we're to address when we're doing a live or we're doing, on our stories or whatever video, we are to make it like we are talking to that one person. So we don't come on and be like, hey, happy Tuesday. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. No, you're supposed to make it feel like I'm just talking to Trisha. I'm just talking to Janelle. I'm just talking. So you want to carry on. You don't want to say it, which is weird. Most of us are like, how do you start something without being like, hey, well, good morning, right? He said, no, just start your thing. Make it like you were just in, the same room with that person, discussing that, and that they've been watching you, right? You don't need to. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting, again, and just making people feel seen and heard, and that it's, one-on-one almost, right? Do you guys get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the message isn't for everyone, it's for one individual person.
It's something I want to share also, is something, and I think I maybe shared this last week or I shared it before or something, but I remember, but there's still, because it is also my goal to be a light on social media, but that doesn't always mean that everything that I talk about is light and airy and super happy all the time. But it means, like, I'm looking at my heart behind it. My heart behind it isn't just to complain when things are hard, right? My heart behind it isn't just to whatever. But I'm remembering a time, and maybe I already mentioned this last week, but it was a picture of Reiner and I and our 2 kids. And, I said, this is such a lovely family photo. But meanwhile, just let you know, I bawled my face off on the way here because we were in an argument. And my purpose in that wasn't to be like, wow, we have marriage problems. It's not, that's not why I posted that. It's like, this is normal. And giving people hope. Yes, go ahead. And just to let people know, to give them hope that, like, it is normal for even people who, like, seem like they have their life together to have hard times. It's actually normal. And so I never want someone to look at my life and think, wow, like, when can I get my life together like Chelsea? That's not helping anybody. That is not helping anybody, because everyone's just comparing themselves to me. And then they think, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. The thing is, I don't have my life together, and nobody does, actually. So it's because I feel like so many people feel shame and guilt. And when I get to pull off the facade that they think is my life or something and be like, hey, guess what? This is life. This is reality. Everybody goes through it. Even if I just, cast a demon out of someone last week and, like, prayed with someone through inner healing the week before and, like, saw a miracle happen the next day, like, I still have life and I still have issues and I still have hard times. And I think I didn't like that when I was young. If I saw someone who I looked up to spiritually, I thought, how on earth can they have this problem? How could they be going through depression? They've seen miracles. They've written all these amazing songs that are just deep, heart-wrenching, whatever, amazingness, stuff that takes you into the presence of God. How on earth could they be struggling with anything? And it was not helpful. Anytime I wanted to think that when I finally got my life together like them, then my life would just be great. But that's not their life, and that wasn't my life. And it was so helpful for me to realize, wow, life happens to everybody, even people who are super famous in the Christian world and who seem like they really do have their life together. And it's not helping anyone to make it look like your life is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's just putting unrealistic goals on people, and they think that their goal is to get to where you're at so that their life is easier. And that's not reality.
Totally, Chelsea. And that actually comes back around to something that Diana shared. She said that she felt like she wasn't the best mom. So she's, got a fresh start with her grandkids. And I want to encourage you that honestly, I feel like as moms, I'll just say this. Sometimes as moms, we feel like we need to look like we have it all together for our kids so that they don't think that we're falling apart. But I think some of the beauty is to share age appropriately when we are struggling, so that when our kids have kids, it's not like, oh, it always looked like mom had it all together. How did she always do this perfectly? How did she never screw up? How did she never, whatever. And I think it's perfect authenticity to be able to say, yeah, I did struggle when I struggled when you guys were young. And this is what I learned. Like, this has just been a learning journey. We don't all come to the same stages in our lives with the same experiences or the same growth, right? Like we get to be that, like Diana, now you get to be that beautiful creation that came through all of that. And your imperfections led you to where you are now. And it's exactly where you're supposed to be. So I think that that's a huge gift. And I think that telling our kids, hey, you know what, mom's having a really bad day today. I just grown-ups have bad days too. So I'm sorry.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Trisha.
I think it's really important for all of us to understand that through our journey of life, we are all doing the best we can with the time that we've got and the knowledge that we have. And it's easy. Like, I get, Diana, you have to process it and go through, whatever has happened in the past. But I think it's also important to understand that we just are all doing our best in the here and now. And to really harp on it is only hurting ourselves. And so I have to work through this too, because I'm definitely one of those ones. I wouldn't call myself a perfectionist, and maybe I'm still recovering from that because I will not admit it. But I definitely stew when I make mistakes, and I have to pull myself out of that so that I can move forward. And so something that's helped me is I was doing the best that I could with the time that I had, the resources I had, the knowledge I had. And that journey has kept me moving forward. But to stay in that place doesn't keep me moving forward. And that's hurtful to myself and everyone around me. It's my thoughts.
That's perfect, Trisha. And that's a perfect place for us to end. Thank you guys so much for being here and for committing to growth, because this is one of those places where we do develop and we do get better, and we can give ourselves more tools to press on and do the things that we're called to do. So thank you so much for being here and sharing, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same bat time, same bat channel. If just a quick reminder, if you guys have people in the Messenger chat event, please go follow up with them, make sure that they've seen everything, make sure that they understand how to look at it. And if you have people that you want to add, you totally can do that as well. So, and make sure that they get into Grow in Health and Happiness. Thank you to my counterpart who's not here. She was amazing. So proud of her for stepping out and doing something scary. And I'd encourage the rest of you to do the same. Talk to us if you feel or you don't feel ready to do a week, and we will pair you with someone else who also doesn't feel ready to do a week, and it'll be beautiful together. All right. Have a great day, guys. Love you all. Bye.